Hello there, good morning. This is our morning bulletin on Mitv Plus. I am Kasmer Ozuribo. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has urged political, traditional, and community leaders in Plateau State to adopt a concrete action plan to end recurring violence as the federal government approved 2 billion naira relief for victims of recent attacks at a 3-hour interactive session with a 3-member Plateau delegation at the State House, Abuja. The president called on stakeholders to move beyond rhetoric and agree on practical, implementable steps to secure lasting peace. The meeting followed his earlier commitment to engage Plateau leaders after the March 29 killings in Angwa-Rukuba, just north local government area. Tinubu directed the delegation led by Governor Caleb Muftuang to revisit previous government-wide papers on the crisis and harmonize workable recommendations for immediate implementation. He stressed that leaders must take responsibility for curbing violence, including identifying those who incite conflict. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has approved the removal of the authority Chief Executive of the Nigeria Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, Saidu Mohammed, citing public interest, and nominated Rabiu Abdullahi Umar as his replacement. The nomination of Umar is subject to confirmation by the Senate. The presidency, in a statement issued by Special Advisor on Information and Strategy, Bayo Ononuga, on Wednesday, said the decision was taken in line with ongoing efforts to strengthen regulatory effectiveness in Nigeria's midstream and downstream petroleum sector, a critical segment of the country's energy value chain. It added that the move was pursuant to the Petroleum Industry Act 2021, which provides the legal framework for the governance and administration of the petroleum industry. Pending Senate confirmation, the most senior official of the authority will oversee operations in an acting capacity. The NMDPRA, established under the Petroleum Industry Act, is responsible for the technical and commercial regulation of Nigeria's midstream and downstream petroleum operations, including gas processing, transportation, fuel distribution, and retail. The Senate has approved a $516 million syndicated loan request by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to fund the construction of Section 1, Phase 1A and B of the Sokoto-Badagry Superhighway. The approval followed the consideration of a report during plenary presented by the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debts, chaired by Senator Aliyu Wamako. The committee recommended that the financing arranged through Deutsche Bank AG be incorporated into the federal government borrowing plan. According to the report, the loan comes with a partial guarantee from the Islamic Cooperation for the Insurance of Investment and Export Credit and carries a tenure of 9 years, including a grace period of up to 3 years. During deliberations, lawmakers highlighted the strategic importance of the highway project. Senator Tahir Mungunu noted that the road was expected to connect 3 of Nigeria's geopolitical zones and significantly reduce travel time between the northern and southern parts of the country. The Senate has directed the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to immediately assess the damage caused by the recent fire outbreak at the Head Bridge Market in Onitsha and provide relief materials to affected traders. Lawmakers also urged the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Reduction to work with relevant agencies to create a special intervention fund to help victims rebuild their businesses. The resolution followed a motion of urgent public importance moved by Senator Tony Nwoye, who drew attention to the devastating fire incident that occurred in the early hours of March 21, 2026. The midnight inferno gutted the plumbing materials section of the Head Bridge Market near the Obogo Medicine Market in Onitsha, destroying goods worth millions of naira and affecting several traders. Deputy Senate President Jibril Barau commended Senator Nwoye for raising the matter and assured affected traders of the Senate's support while calling for immediate intervention to ease their hardship.
Even if there are adequate equipment and motorized equipment, when you look at the geography and the planning of Onitsha market, you will discover that it will be exceedingly difficult for fire service vehicle to successfully maneuver to the point of incident. I want to emphasize that our markets grow organically. They grow as if we are planting, we are in a bush. They are never planned. And in particular, Onitsha market is not properly planned. The adequate rules that bind the creation
knows that the Headbridge Building Materials Market Onitsha is one of the largest hubs for building materials in Southeast geopolitical zone, and it was engulfed by a devastating fire outbreak on the night of 20th March 2026 at about 10:30 p.m. Senate also knows that the inferno, according to eyewitness accounts, originated from the section dealing in plastic ties and high-pressure pipes before it rapidly spread to the adjoining plumbing material section of the market. Senate further notes that the fire raged uncontrollably for over 3 days, causing unprecedented destruction before it was eventually subdued through the combined efforts of Federal Fire Service Onitsha North local government and local fire service units from Ogidi. Senate observed that the absence of functional fire service outlet and inadequate firefighting infrastructure within the market significantly contributed to the escalation and prolonged duration of incidents. Also observes that the incident led to the destruction of goods and properties valued at over 3 billion naira, including galvanized pipes, brass fittings, water pipes, and other essential building materials. Further observes that the affected traders, many of whom rely solely on the market proceeds for their livelihood, have been rendered economically vulnerable.
Mr. President, I think that when things like this happen, it calls for sober reflection. And it calls for a proper investigation of the incidents with a view to ascertaining the causes and, of course, the consequences of such incidents. And so, it is a standard practice all over the world that the Federal Fire Service is the first responder in all disaster situations. It is equally a standard practice that the responding period to contain disasters arising from fire is a minimum of 3 minutes and a maximum of 5 minutes. And that means that fire stations ordinarily should be constructed in line with these standards to minimize.
Through the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to immediately conduct a comprehensive assessment of the damage and provide urgent relief materials and financial assistance to affected traders. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
The House of Representatives has advanced a landmark bill seeking to establish a comprehensive 50-year national economic plan spanning 2026 to 2073 in a move aimed at tackling Nigeria's long-standing development challenges and policy inconsistency. Sponsored by Amobi Oga, the legislation scaled second reading on Wednesday, with lawmakers stressing the urgent need for a stable, long-term framework to guide economic growth across successive administrations. The proposed plan is designed to set clear fiscal and monetary priorities, reduce uncertainty, and reposition the nation for sustainable development and global competitiveness. Lawmakers also underscored the importance of a cohesive national roadmap to prevent fragmented and reactive policy making, as the bill has now been referred to the House Committee on National Planning and Economic Development for further consideration.
The annual budget. It is not going to be part of what the President brings to Parliament to present. It is to establish an institutional framework and structure that will plan for the future and lay core pillars that no regime, no party that comes to power can deviate from. Just like what is going on in Lagos. There were certain pillars established on infrastructure, on transportation, on revenue generation, on security that no governor that comes to office can deviate from.
So having a plan, economic development plan for a country is very, very fundamental and very important. But my advice is simply this. As important as it is, stakeholders should be engaged during the committee's public hearing so that a lot of Nigerians who have information and idea about the past development plans will add value to this 50 years economic development plan.
This bill is timely, considering the fact that we have suffered a lot with our infrastructure as a country. We have seen a lot of abandoned projects, programs, and policies of government in the recent time. And one wonder why countries like China, India are succeeding in their economy. I think the secret is
Justice Joyce Abdul Malik of the Federal High Court Abuja has barred the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) from recognizing or participating in any congress organized by a disputed leadership of the African Democratic Congress (ADC). Justice Abdul Malik also restrained former Senate President David Mark and other party figures from interfering with the functions and tenure of elected state executives. The ruling followed an originating summons filed by Norman Obinna and 6 others on behalf of ADC state chairpersons and executive committee. They challenged the legality of actions taken by an interim national leadership. The plaintiffs argued that it lacked the constitutional authority to organize state congresses or appoint committees for the purpose. They asked the court to affirm their tenure and stop any parallel process. The average cost of a 5 kg of cylinder of cooking gas surged in March 2026, hitting 7,655 naira, 73 kobo, while a 12.5 kg cylinder climbed to 19,652 naira, 83 kobo. This is according to the National Bureau of Statistics (NBS) latest liquefied petroleum gas (LPG) price watch. March's cooking gas data comes amid heightened global economic uncertainty driven by geopolitical tensions. NBS data shows the average price refill 5 kg cylinder increased by 12.60% month-on-month from 6,799.18 kobo in February to 7,655.73 kobo in March 2026. On a year-on-year basis, the prices rose to 4.55% from 7,322 naira 49 kobo recorded in March 2025. Kaduna recorded the highest average refill price for 5 kg cylinders at 9,212 naira 21 kobo. Lagos followed at 8,909 naira 73 kobo, while Taraba posted 8,802 naira 78 kobo. For 12.5 kg cylinders, NBS noted that the average refill price rose even faster, climbing to 15.62% month-on-month from 16,997 naira 94 kobo in February to 19,652 naira 83 kobo in March. Compared with March 2025 prices, the ongoing Middle East tension have pushed oil prices higher, increasing inflation concerns globally. Rising energy prices typically translate into higher fuel and transportation costs across economies. The Nigerians in Diaspora Commission (NIDCOM) has raised fresh concerns over the deteriorating xenophobic violence in South Africa, warning that Nigerian citizens and other black immigrants are facing increasingly threats to their safety and livelihoods. NIDCOM urged the South African government to take immediate and visible steps to curb the attacks and protect Nigerians. It expressed disappointment that earlier diplomatic efforts between Nigeria and South Africa had not yielded the expected calm. According to the agency, disturbing reports indicated that Nigerians are increasingly living in fear, with daily activities severely disrupted. The statement further revealed that community leaders had documented new incidents of violence and intimidation within the last 72 hours, signaling a worrying trend. While commending South Africans who continue to coexist peacefully with foreign nationals, the Commission emphasized the need for restraint and respect human life. The International Air Transport Association, IATA, has unveiled the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo San, as one of Africa's top 4 most prominent aviators. Keyamo was unveiled on Wednesday by IATA's Regional Vice President for Africa and the Middle East, Camille Al-Wadi, during a special session of the IATA Focus Africa Conference in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. Earlier, at a special session at the ongoing IATA Focus Africa Conference holding in Addis Ababa, I was unveiled by the International Air Transport Association, IATA, as one of Africa's top 4 prominent aviators. The announcement was made by IATA's regional vice president. In his address, Al-Wadi cited Keyamo's cutting-edge policy direction, strategic reforms, and unwavering commitment to global aviation standards as basis for the recognition. He highlighted Nigeria's effective administration of the Cape Town Convention and the IDERA framework, as well as its impressive 91.4% score in ICAO safety oversight, positioning Nigeria among leading aviation nations in Africa. Kano State Governor Abba Yusuf has condemned unpatriotic individuals exploiting Nigeria's security challenges for political gain, warning that such actions undermine ongoing efforts to restore peace and stability across the country. The governor made the remarks in Lagos at the National Summit on Democracy, Good Governance and Sustainable Development organized by the Nigerian Human Rights Community. Represented by the Commissioner for Transport, Haruna Dederi, Governor Yusuf stressed that tackling insecurity requires collective responsibility, noting that government alone cannot resolve the crisis. Speaking on the summit theme, the imperatives of ethic harmony towards democracy and sustainable development. What is to be done? A chieftain of the National Democratic Coalition, Ayo Okpadokun, called for reforms in Nigeria's political process and governance structures. The executive director of Journalists for Democratic Rights, Adewale Adeoye, said the conference was convened to explore practical resolutions and solutions to national fragmentation.
The construction of our nation cannot rely solely on Abuja, Lagos, or Kano. It will flourish when the North and South recognize each other as partners rather than adversaries. Therefore, I propose the establishment of a Bridge of Trust initiative. Bridge of Trust initiative between the northern and southern states, comprising joint youth innovation clubs, interstate student exchanges, and a collaborative platform for
Sectional dominance. Policies began to reflect narrow interests rather than national consensus. Erosion of trust. Certain regions and groups felt marginalized, leading to deep-seated resentment. Institutional injustice. Merit, fairness, and due process were frequently subordinated to arbitrariness. We have a lot of that. Culture of impunity. Governors became detached from accountability to the people. This development planted seeds of suspicion, bitterness, and fragmentation, seeds that have continued to germinate into the crisis we witness today.
We are a country that is fractured, and this opportunity gives us an opportunity to see how we can talk to ourselves as a people. While the government is holding meetings in National Rock, holding meetings in state houses, can the people also on their own come together and discuss their future? And I believe that when people come together to speak, there is much of trust in it, because it is not about election. It's about our own future. It's about our own interest. It's about our own stability, our own safety. So for a very long time, we have not had an opportunity like this.
And that is what Nigeria is. That is what defines us. The value
that we share together, the history, the cultural affinity between us. So we appeal to you to tell Mr. Governor that very soon we want something like this to be replicated in Kano, that we're going to come down there, you know, bring people from different nationalities together, you know, to talk about how we can solve our common challenges and common problems.
The National Vice Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, APC in Southwest, Dr. Isaac Ekemeke, has criticized comments credited to Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde on the 1983 political crisis, describing them as divisive and unhelpful to the region. Dr. Ekemeke, who spoke during a press conference in Ado-Ekiti, said the Southwest has moved beyond such politics and remains focused on progress and unity. He added that the region is determined to work for the victory of the APC in future elections. The APC Southwest leader also said the new zonal executive is committed to strengthening the party's structure across the region. He further described the Ekiti State Governor Biodun Oyebanji as an emerging party and national leader, praising his humility, leadership, qualities, and successful flag of his re-election campaign.
Southwest Zone belong to the APC. We say that the remarks and the threats by the governor of Oyo State, Engineer Makinde, are uncalled for. Anyone that is reminding us of that terrible incident of Wete is an enemy of our region. And we urge Southwesterners to treat it as such. It's only an enemy of our region that will remind us of that inglorious year. And we want to ever wish that we have a repeat. Southwesterners are wiser than that. And Governor Makinde's phony ambition will not drive Southwesterners to do that to themselves again. I said the ambition is funny because as of today, we don't even know his party. He has no party. He held a convention in Lebanon. The court said that was not a convention. We don't even know which faction of the party he belongs to. He has no party. He has a depleted party. So that core is unpatriotic, very, very unpatriotic, and it's an anti-Yoruba core.
And that wraps up the news.